O'Reilly. Are your wiper blades chattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let streaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades while you wait. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.
Oh, hey, everybody. Another episode of THC coming right at you. I'm, of course, Ben O'Brien. I'm here with Phil T. Engineer. Say hey, Phil.
Hello, Phil T. here.
We are in different rooms. Day 3 of our quarantine cast. Our daily quarantine cast. How you feeling, Phil? You holding up over there?
Yes. So far, so good. The family's in good health. We have food in the pantry. There's toilet paper on the shelves. I will update you hourly with any changes specifically to the toilet paper.
Because, thank you, Phil. Thank you. Please go to @PhilTaylor, 25? Is that what it is?
P. Taylor, 25.
P. Taylor.
Is it Phil Taylor? Nope.
No,
P. Taylor is something else. It's Phil Taylor 25. You're right. You know my Instagram handle, and I do not.
Yeah, I handed out to enough people. I actually have a little card with it printed out on there. And when I see people on the street, I'm like, here you go. Follow this guy. That's Phil. It's a little picture of you on there. So you're welcome in advance. But listen, we just recorded one of these and an intro to the podcast that you're about to hear with Remy Warren, where we talk about New Zealand, our New Zealand giveaway. We do a little impromptu Q&A with Remy. You're going to love that part. We just recorded an intro that you'll never hear because I lost my mind. I got very enraged, and Phil can attest to the fact that I was very upset, and I said some things that I'd want to take back. So we recorded it, then immediately deleted it. Is that right, Phil?
It's gone forever.
Gone forever. And, let me just give you a summary of what I said, maybe in a little bit better prose.
So this is a bad idea, Ben. It's just gonna start again.
You think it's gonna go again?
I'm gonna give you a little. You're gonna give them a little summary, and it's gonna escalate quickly.
Oh, it is. Let me say something. Can I rant for a minute, Phil?
No, please don't.
Listen, I have been watching a lot of cable news lately, and this is the exact same rant that
this is exactly how it started. The last time.
I just want, as a journalist, as somebody with a journalism degree, I want people that are on our news networks, our major cable news channels like Fox News, maybe MSNBC, maybe CNN, to act in a way that at least on the outside looks like they have our best interests in mind. To not distort the news, distort words, distort facts in such a way to fit their narrative on both sides, on the right side with Fox and the left side with CNN, MSNBC, whatever else you can put in that bucket. I don't call it the liberal media, it's the media, and some of it is just garbage. And so it's just in a time where we just need to think about each other and tell each other the truth and be earnest and honest and sincere. Some people in this country who have large platforms are somehow unable to achieve that. And it is gross and sickening to me. And hopefully I'm delivering this rant much better than the last time. I won't do that this time. I promise, Phil. Don't worry. But I just want all of us to recognize that some people in our news media do not have our best interests in mind. And that is a huge problem in this country. So that's all. That's all I have to say about that. Phil, is that better?
Yeah.
Nope, same. That was way better. That was way better than last time. I didn't scream. I didn't blow out the mic a bunch of times.
Yeah, sure.
That's it. Okay, fine. THC Daily, you're going to get stream of consciousness stuff like this. And that's THC Daily Quarantine Cast for you. Phil, please keep me in line. Please, please.
I'll try my best, but it's never worked in the past.
That's true. That's true. All right. We're going to get to something much more germane to hunting and the outdoors. And that's our good friend and host of the Cutting the Distance podcast, produced by Phil the Engineer, in fact. Straight from Reno, Nevada, here's Remy Warren. All right, Remy Warren, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
Oh, still quarantined. I don't know. I'm not counting the days. I don't want to count the days, but we're podcasting from home. We're podcasting remotely. We got Phil, the engineer. Say hi, Phil.
Hello, I'm here still.
Still here with us. But I think before we do anything, Remy, we want to just check in on what's your coronavirus pandemic setup at home looking like. What's going on over there?
I've got 2 freezers full of meat. I think I went through my beer supply already this morning, but other than that, pretty solid. No, just kidding. I don't know. I mean, for me, so much stuff's been canceled, and just like everybody else, I don't think there's a person that this hasn't affected, like, unless you're just in a cabin somewhere, which I envy you at this point, because you probably aren't listening to this podcast, but you're hanging out in your cabin. You don't even know anything's going on. I was hoping to be that guy, but yeah, it's hard to get away from.
I know. I was telling my wife that we should just pick a series of Forest Service cabins in the Gallatin National Forest just as our fallback points. Should just get wild. Like, that's exactly where I'd go. I'd find a cabin, hunker down. At least you and I mean, you're in Reno, right? You could run off into the wilderness.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a pretty grim outlook, though. I think we'll all be okay. We just gotta stay home for a couple of days, or a couple months or whatever. Just limit.
I know.
It's, I mean, for me, I'm always kind of. I've always been a slight germaphobe, and I mean, everybody now is just on my level, It's like everybody right now is going through what I go through every day of my life since I was born. So it's just I think it's great. I'm like, the whole social distancing thing, I've always been down with that, as I'm fairly introverted in my normal life. So nothing's really changed for me. I think everybody else that's not like that, I'm like, this is how I live. Now everybody understands. It's great.
Delve into the mind of Remy Warren. Yeah, we had Mark Kenyon on yesterday. Mark Kenyon's he's like, dude, I've been working from home for 6 years. I don't know any different. I don't go out and see people during the day and interact with everybody. So must be that there's a lot of people that are in your boat that are happy to kind of distance a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, now everybody, when people don't immediately want to touch each other, I'm all cool with that. I've always enjoyed that. So there's upsides. Obviously there's some really terrible downside as well. Yeah.
As your mindset, I know you run a business, you run an outfitting business, you have your, all the things you do in hunting media, kind of that revolve your daily life, including your podcast on the Meteor Network and Solo Hunter and your own social media content. What mindset, when I imagine when you realized that this was going to be something that affects everybody, what mindset do you go into this with? And then what would be your advice for everybody as we go into this? Because I think a lot of people are just kind of desperate for a little bit of perspective.
Yeah, my mindset is I think it's not a problem unless everybody freaks out, simultaneous freaking out, and I think the people that are not really prone to freaking out are kind of looking around going, what is going on? And starting to freak out, it's just some of the things, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense that there's a run on toilet paper, but if you didn't get your toilet paper and you need toilet paper, you're in trouble right now, like if you just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird mindset, but I think, you just look forward to the things that you can plan and things in the future, and you just got to take each day as it comes, I mean, I think it'd probably do some people some good to just take a little bit of time and not have to, be so busy. The real scary thing is like, I just really, for me, it's like there's a lot of people that are impacted, as far as, man, a lot of people are going to be put in really bad situations as far as like not having work. And I don't know, those are the people that I'm most concerned about, so I'm just like personally looking at ways that like I could help other people. I don't know. I'm just like thinking about like, I've got a huge surplus of meat and other things as a hunter. Like most people, I know people that don't have more than a couple days worth of whatever. So it's like, I think it's cool to be able to share. And I mean, a lot of people are still like me, mine. I'm going to, it's like, yeah, but we all got to get through this together. It's just going to be much easier if we kind of help each other out than be like crazy a-holes to each other. Like that's just not, like, it's only going to make it worse for yourself and for other people. There's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than myself. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like thinking about the things that I do in ways that maybe I could help some other people. Yeah,
that's a great way to look at it, man. And I think I like the thing of I've got same as you. I've got a freezer full of meat. That's the one thing that I would never have to worry about should something like this go on. So I don't know. Maybe as a hunter, you can go down the street and ask the family down the street of folks that maybe don't hunt, or just share some of that with them. And if they're willing and would take it, great. If not, no worries. But at least reaching out to somebody and offering that help would be a good thing. And whatever, like you said, whatever you can do for somebody around you, it'd probably make you feel good to help and make that person feel good to have someone that's willing to do that for them. So I just want to make sure we covered off on that, because I'll be getting a lot of messages from people since we announced we were going to do a daily podcast that both want a distraction, but just want perspective from different people around the hunting industry and elsewhere, like what they're going through and what it feels like. And it's it's not all that serious if nobody's sick, but it's still just a weird, anxiety-filled time. It just is.
Yeah, and I think like the whole getting sick thing doesn't scare me at all. It's just all the other stuff that's that I think has people freaked out. It's like, okay, well, even just for some people being in isolation and kind of staying away from people for a week or 2 weeks, like that freaks people out. Where I'm like used to it. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's just normal. But I think like we've got so much technology. You can call people, check. Don't like be afraid to check in on people and see how people are doing. And if somebody needs something, like I think there's things that we can do to just help each other. And I think that's key from my perspective.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. You can let fear like run the way you think every day, or you can get up and just be like, no, this is what I'm going to think. This is what's really going on. This is what's affecting me. And there's a lot of people that are in a lot worse shape than I am. I would imagine like most of the people that are listening to this podcast, like even if they got sick or in that demographic, that probably it's not really going to affect. It's just like getting a cold, just like getting the, but there's people that have compromised immune systems, older people, that like this is really going to affect and can be very dangerous for. And so, you just got to do your part.
Yeah, man. No, I think that's a huge message to your part. And we have a lot of fun on this show and jack around and make jokes. But I just want to, before we get into hunting stories and doing what we normally do, it's good to just address, hey, how do you think about it? What are you going to do with it? And how are you going to make this time, how are you going to optimize this time in your own life? Because that's what you got to do. You got to look forward and protect the people around you and try to optimize every day and do what you can. So I've set up a podcast studio in my infant son's nursery. So I'm sitting in a nursing chair right now, and you're sitting on an exercise ball. Is that right?
Yeah, in my kitchen. It's like the wood chairs I just can't handle.
I love it,
and
man.
It's snowing, so I'm like, that's great.
No. Phil, how you feeling over there? You checking in, or did you leave?
I'm still here. I'm feeling pretty good over here right now. Got the whole family in the house. We're hunkering down. We might make some pancakes tonight.
Ooh, yeah,
That sounds fun, huh?
We're last night we made at my house we made rabbit shepherd's pie. So we just put some rabbit into the shepherd's pie, and it was damn good. I didn't.
Yeah, we made shepherd's pie two nights ago.
Yeah, so we put a little cottontail in ours, and it was good, man. I should have filmed some of it, but I wanted to just be with my family and not mess around with social media for the time that we were together. But we made some shepherd's pie, man. It was damn good. So try to think about stuff you can make. Remy already has like the handle on what to make and what's good. Your Insta stories are some of my favorite in regards to what to cook.
Yeah, thanks. I think I'll probably share some different. It's a good time if you're at home. You're doing a lot of cooking at home. Just try different stuff, and for the most part, that way you don't get sick of eating the same thing. Takes up a little bit of time. Takes your mind off of whatever else too. If you're, make something good, feel good about it. I don't know. I got some. I'm having some blacktail backstrap tonight. I don't know how I'm going to cook it yet. We'll figure something out. Should be good.
Yeah, it was. I think tonight's mule deer meatballs around here. I think that's what what was going on in the kitchen when I went down there a little bit ago. But yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to look at it. I know Meat Eater. Obviously, we're going to be cooking a lot of stuff, sharing a lot of stuff on social.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
But I was thinking, Remy, whether you're willing to do this or not, I have a whole for Cutting the Distance, Remy's podcast, to save him from the strife of having flooded with emails. I screen all the emails and read them all your emails out there, and send them to Remy, the ones that I really think Remy would want to read. You want to do a couple real quick Q&As here, Remy, on some emails I got for you?
Yeah, might as well. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And then we want to talk a little bit about First Light's New Zealand hunt giveaway. I'll update you on that after we're done this, and then we're going to get Remy to tell us some tips and tricks for hunting tar in New Zealand, because that's where we're eventually going to be going should the coronavirus allow us to do it. So that's what we're going to do today.
Perfect.
Dude, I got a lot of bear hunting questions in here for you. It is that time for many of us, along with turkey season. But I think when people think of you, Remy, bear hunting is a big one. So this one came from Zane Schaefer. He said, Remy, thanks to you and your inspiration, my brother and I just drew Spring Bear 2021 Prince of Wales tags up in Alaska. I have 3 brothers, so 4 of us total. We all put in and 2 of us drew tags, but we're all going together for the adventure. Because, as you know, that's
Nice.
what brother... Yeah, I was like, nice, dude. So he's like, that's what brothers do. We grew up hunting as kids, but lost the tradition when our father committed suicide. We had no one to lead or guide us as we grew up. Now we are all in our 30s and have careers and families. We just decided to make hunting a priority in our lives for future generations. We started back up doing annual hunting trips 4 years ago, and we filled a lot of tags. Just want to tell you thanks for the inspiration. Any tips you have for Prince of Wales, Spring Bear, I'd love to hear them. Zane. Paraphrasing some of that, but man, that's a great story of 4 brothers coming together.
Yeah, actually, I have that same tag, so you might even run into me, and I'll just tell you what I'm planning on doing, and then you can just go from there. 'Cause, I mean, not too specific, but that time of year, there's 2 options, and I think it. Let's just kind of generalize it as well. Now, I'll kind of answer their specific questions, but I think it could pertain to anybody's spring bear hunting. And actually, this week on or whatever date, I don't know when this podcast that I'm doing right now with you is airing, but on Thursday, March, I'll pull up my calendar, 19th, I'm just going like straight up spring bear tactics, and I'll just give you a few of the things here. So there's going to be a lot of spring bear stuff coming from Cutting the Distance podcast, but as far as the Prince of Wales goes, or even anywhere northeast like Alaska, you can hunt it a couple different ways. It's like road system type, spot and stock, or if you're around coastal, you can hunt the coast. Even a combination of those 2 things can be great. So when you're thinking about spring bears, you just got to be thinking about food sources. So it really depends on what time of year you're going. Bears are going to be coming out of hibernation, so there's always a lot of food on the coast. The times that I've hunted Prince of Wales, mostly in the fall, it's been salmon has been the main food source, and then also so much aquatic stuff along the coastlines between kelp and mollusks and other things. Like bears do not have to look very hard for food in Southeast Alaska, on any of those Southeast Alaska areas. So I would just say, find a spot where you can be mobile. Most of your success in your hunts just going to be coming down to logistics. Anywhere you go should be good, because you can either choose to hunt coastlines, just find a boat and a place to camp or a cabin and cruise the tidal flats and other things. They'll be coming in for grasses, and then as well as kelp and other stuff along the coastlines. And then if you decide to hunt just roads and stay away from the coast, anything where they're emerging, get up high, look for new growth, grasses, avalanche shoots, stuff that bears that are just coming out of hibernation are keyed into. As it gets later, the grasses are going to get taller, so you might want to focus more on that coastline type terrain. Not that there's more bears there, but it just might be easier to spot the bears that are there. And you also got to think Alaska, it's almost 24 hours a day like that time of year if you're going in June. Just depends when you're going, but don't burn yourself out. Like, pick some times to hunt those times and do some other stuff, do some fishing, have some fun, because spring bear hunting can be long days, and the more mentally focused you are, the better. So, take it easy, find some where you start to see bears, focus on those areas, and go from there. That's kind of a long answer. But.
No, I like it. I drew a tag up there a couple years ago and didn't actually get to go for a bunch of reasons, but the one thing you hear about is the bear meat, the black bear meat up there especially is rough. It's hard to eat. It's hard to even smell and be around. I know Steve Rinella was telling me, he's like, hey man, if you're skinning a bear, you're gonna want to stuff something up your nose, because the smell of rotting fish, because that's what they're eating at the time, is such a problem. You have experience with that? Is that the right time of year for that worry?
No, that's so that would be like fall and like late fall. In the springtime, there's no like running. I mean, there's steelhead, but they aren't eating just like the dead rotting fish. So you really don't have to worry about it. Spring bear meat, I've never had like a bad spring bear. I really haven't had any bad fall bears either, but mostly, yeah, that won't be a problem at all.
Beautiful.
That would just
Beautiful.
be
Well, it is.
maybe, like you only get that with the salmon, like, because if they're just gorging on piles of
Salmon.
rotting salmon, then you can see it.
Yeah.
And most of it's even just the smell of those creek systems themselves are pretty ripe that time of year. And, the bears are rolling in dead fish, and a lot of it comes off their hide and other stuff.
Yep.
But during the springtime, no, they're mostly eating grasses. They're mostly herbivores in the spring.
Yeah, because I've heard from some locals up there in Prince of Wales when I've been up there before that some guys will kill bears later in the year, wear a slicker when they're skinning it, just because they don't want to get any of the stench on their clothes because it's hard to get off. So that's one good thing. The thing not to have to worry about in the spring. So thank you, Zane, for writing in. That's pretty cool. Here's another one from Bryce Beard. He says, love your podcast. He's from Teton Valley, Idaho. He comes from a very successful hunting family, but my younger brother and I were never taught all the tricks from our dad, who was older when we were born, and our brothers never had the patience to take us. So they love cutting the distance. They love listening, and it's brought them more success on a mountain. His question is, he said, you've mentioned glassing techniques in the past, but something I find myself doing is wondering when I've looked at one ridge long enough and wanting to move to another spot. How do you know when you have glassed one spot long enough and I'm not seeing anything? Is it better to keep looking or to move to another ridge line? How long is too long and how short is too short? Thanks, Bryce.
Yeah, I actually get a variation of that question a lot. That's probably one of a thing people like. I'm sitting here, and do I move? How do I know if I've seen everything? So it's super spot specific. If you think about it, is first I like to analyze the type of spot that I'm looking at, and then I kind of analyze the time of day and the percentage of spotting something. So if I'm looking at a hillside, that if you look at the hillside and you go, okay, what percentage of the hill is open? If it's like pretty open, no thick cover, not a lot of places for animals to hide, and you can look it over, you go, okay, I can see 90% of the hill. I looked it over at a prime time of day, morning or evening. I've probably seen everything, time to move on. Now, if it's say 10% open and 90% cover, well, you definitely haven't seen everything there. And it also depends on what time are you looking at it. Sometimes you'll look at a perfect looking hillside and you go, I haven't seen anything. You go, well, what time is it? Have you been looking from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.? Well, you probably aren't going to see anything. So at that point, I would stay and stick it out and check out, a morning or an evening. But also just kind of, if you're just starting to check out that area, maybe it's good to hit different spots at different times a day. Like give one spot a good half a day look, and if there's nothing, go to the next one. Just depends how well you feel you covered it. If you think you covered it, move on. Don't there's spots that I'll look for 10 minutes and go, yeah, nothing here. It doesn't look that good anyways. Let's go check the next spot. So it's so hard to say an exact. I would never do the same different places on okay, I haven't seen anything here this amount of days. And one more factor that I would factor into that is population densities. There's places that I go that I just know are low density, so I don't expect to see much. If you're in an area that has a lot of a high population of animals and you aren't seeing anything, probably time to move on.
Yep. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer for everybody, but I imagine it gets in your head when you've been there for a long time and you're trying to figure out what the hell to do, what the hell to move. If you got a lot of ground to cover, especially, because I know every time I hear you tell a mule deer story, you're talking about pushing further. As you're not scared to get up and move as far as you need to.
Yeah, that's if I'm not seeing anything, I'll probably move. But also, I know so many times people get in the habit of going and moving and going to another spot and looking there and being like, no, there's nothing there. And it's probably one of the better places they could look, but they're just looking in the middle of the day because they, got a little too antsy or didn't want to wait long enough. So you really just got to you got to really play to this, look at the most opportune times in the right places. And I think, it just comes with practice too. Once you start finding animals, hone in on what's similar about why are animals in this spot, and then go find spots that are very similar to that. Now, if you're hunting really thick country, you sometimes have to sit there for a long time without seeing anything, because if it has everything and there's sign and there should be animals there, you just aren't seeing them. Well, it's just that they aren't in the open when you're looking there. So that's something where if it's the thicker it is, the longer you have to watch that small opening. And if there's not many open areas, then you kind of just have to stick it out and wait in some of those instances.
For sure. All right. Thank you to Bryce for that one. Here's another interesting one. This Richard Canady. It's a short one. I feel like it's Canady, Cannady. Anyway, I butcher everyone's names all the damn time. He said, "Hey, I'm wondering what your take is on the morality, I think maybe the ethics is what he means, of hunting along private fences. I found a honey hole, but it's 300 yards from a private ranch. Is it wrong to hunt that close to private property?"
Nope, not wrong. Do it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the line is the line. I think that you want to be careful. Like, I wouldn't shoot something jumping over a fence. That's like, or it depends on the state too. Like in Montana, if I'm hunting a boundary line, I want to be kind of far enough away where if I hit something with a bow, it's not going to run onto private. Because you have to ask permission first, and that could, the ethics portion would come into how can I, if it's a hot day and you got to go get permission before you can walk in and retrieve your animal, yeah, you don't want to be too close to that line where it might. But if the animal's facing the other way or it's downhill toward public and you're close to the line, I think that's fine. You just got to really, it's situational, but there's nothing wrong with being close to a property line or a boundary line.
Yeah, I mean, when you say the line's the line, we had somebody telling a story the other day in the office about turkey hunting last spring in Montana. They had a strutting gobbler literally was strutting up against the property boundary fence. It was like a 3-strand barbed wire fence. This turkey is strutting up against it. Will not cross the fence, but technically is on the other side of the line. You could have, obviously the shot would reach through that and kill that turkey, no problem. So they had to sit there at 40 yards or so and watch this turkey strut for 20 minutes. And they decided, rightly so, not to shoot it. And when they did that, they went up the road and went back to their truck, and there was a game warden watching them with binos. And so it's a good lesson. The line's the line, even though you think you might be able to cheat that line a little bit here and there. Like, you got to understand that line's there for a reason, and just respect the hell out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the public land. If it's on public, it's all good, but you want to also respect private property, and I'm like huge on that. And I think for the most part too, a lot of places you can actually. I understand why private landowners don't want a lot of people on there, is because most people do dumb stuff. So it's like you don't want to be one of those people that does dumb stuff. So just if that does that make
that makes all the sense in the world.
Just stop don't do dumb stuff. It's like, but if you're clearly on public land, with Onyx maps now you can know where you're at. It's a lot different than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you sometimes you had to go off of a paper map, and not even sometimes, like even before GPSs. It was very difficult, and landowners used to put fences that weren't actually the boundary lines and all kinds of stuff. But now you know where you're at. You don't really have any excuses not to know. So you can actually get closer to private land because you know where the line is at, I think. But also you just want to be cognizant of where that animal's going to go and what kind of shot it is. If it's running toward a private fence and you're just going to have to make a quick shot, I would just say don't shoot, because it's going to make it over that fence. And once it goes over that fence, it's no longer your animal. So you want to make sure you can recover it and legally and ethically. So that's how I would judge it.
Yeah, same thing with private land. If you're on private land and your neighbor to the north won't let you track a deer, and your neighbor to the east will let you track a deer, kind of what the boundaries are. If you shoot a deer and he runs north, you're probably screwed. And so just having that knowledge and going into the situation, making a snap judgment with that in mind, it can be tough, but you got to have those things, those boundaries in order when you're doing it. For sure.
Yep.
Here's an interesting one. Derek Yashikazu. He said, my name's Derek. I was born and raised in Bozeman, but I live in Japan. I've been listening to your podcast since the start. It's been a while since I've been able to hunt back home, so it's great to listen to experiences and tips way over here. I know about the fog neck attack with you and Steve, but how many times have you been bluff charged? I know until you're actually in the situation, you will not know how you're going to react. But if you explain your experiences, mindset, and actions, charges in the backcountry overall could be a little easier to deal with. This could maybe help others who didn't grow up in grizzly country. And his title of his email was "Be Bear Aware, Not Paranoid."
Yeah,
Making a pun.
I don't know. I mean,
Bear puns.
I mean, like full on. I don't even know. I mean, there's probably about a half a dozen times that I've been like, jaw popping, bear slapping something, kind of definitely showing you do not come any closer. I guess that would be kind of like a false charge or mock charge. I've actually probably been like false charged by or like aggressive. I've probably had more aggressive encounters with black bears than brown bears, actually, if I think about it.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of brown bears seem, for the most part, like, I don't know. Their entire disposition is unsettling, though, when you're in close proximity to them, because something can happen so fast. So even if they aren't acting aggressive or just being inquisitive, like it's kind of an eerie experience. Even just last year when I was on Kodiak, we were doing some filming stuff and actually a commercial. And my wife was with me, and we had like a bunch of camera guys, and we were just going to a salmon stream, and I spotted this bear like this Kodiak brown bear just feeding on all this salmon. So I got some of the guys and said, "Hey, you guys want to come film this bear?" And it's just like a large group of people, and we start to sneak in. Well, the bear decided to leave and then kind of circled us and jumped up on its hind legs, within 60, 70 yards. And it didn't look happy. And we didn't look happy either, and we just kind of de-escalated the situation and left. But at that point, I mean, the bear could have done one of two things. He could have charged and been aggressive, or he just slipped off and we don't really know where he went. Those kind of things happen all the time, like almost daily. So you kind of just you really just have to be prepared that any encounter could be whatever kind of encounter. But I think I kind of covered a lot of the bear safety stuff in one of that first set of podcasts that I did.
Yeah, that was podcast.
It gives you kind of a good
think.
idea of like, was it that? Yeah, it might even. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
Podcast 2, yeah, gives you a lot of tips on just like how to read a bear's disposition and how to act and what kind of charge it is, like if it's being defensive, if it's being aggressive, if it's being predatory, and just understanding, you should take every bear encounter seriously, though.
For sure. Last one here. This one comes from the Sunshine State. Sean Carver out of Florida said he hunts a lot of public land down there, deer and hogs. But had a question. This is a question I think you might get a lot, I would guess, if you do. He said, when you're on a backcountry trip that takes you miles into the wilderness, how do you divide up the meat and bring it back if you are successful killing an elk? I know the head is always the last thing out, but would you get the meat back to camp, then pack out, then get the meat back, and vice versa? How do you get camp and the meat back, and what's the order?
It really depends. That's like, depends how far you are, how much camping gear you have. I mean, you could always go like, and which direction toward the trailhead or whatever you shot the animal. So let's just assume that he's talking about, like, let's say you set up a base camp 4 miles from the trailhead, and then you day hunted about 2 miles away from the trailhead from your camp and got an elk. So at that point, probably what I would do is I would get everything at least back to camp, because, that's a pretty good haul. I mean, me personally, I probably carry way too much on the pack outs. Like a lot of times I'll do it in 2 trips. Most people probably take 3 or 4 trips, which I probably suggest just now is like everything in my neck and back is cracking and pinching and like very uncomfortable. But and then you go, okay, well, I've got my camp. So it depends on how long you think you can do it. Are you going to do it in a day? Then I would just take part of the elk, bring my camp back to the trailhead. I would then stay the night at the trailhead and then walk back. But if you think you can make it there and back in one day, then you just base it off of where your next move is. It's just completely dependent on that. Like I don't ever have a set formula.
Yeah, is there any ways you've seen people commonly screw that up?
No, I mean the only time is like when you just kind of like take your camp down and you think that you're going to get there and back in time, and then you leave and then you're like, oh crap, I'm packing out through the dark. But no matter what, you can make it work. Like there's no real, it's just how much time you have, how comfortable you want to be, what times of day you want to be packing out. I think that's all just personal choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I have like a large pack out and I'm by myself, I like to just do it in stages where I go kind of like, instead of going all the way one way and then back, I'll just do like ferry things. So I'll go from point A to point B to point C to point D to the end. And you kind of just make like go 1 mile, hang it, bring everything 1 mile at a time. If you go 4 miles, you're making the same amount of trips. It's just a little easier to manage that way sometimes.
Yeah, and
So
I know
I've
heard the stories of you said, or even my own experience, like you just got to know I'm in for a gnarly pack out and I'll get to the truck when I get there and I'm just going to keep working until this is done. Or, you're like, well, I'm going to have to take this load, come back and sleep and get up and do it again. Just all depends about where you are. Sometimes, I know you do this all the time. You just say, I'm going to work until this is done. I might have to work all night. I might have to walk till 2 a.m, but I'm going to work until this is done. And that's just the hunt. That's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've packed out a lot. I've packed out, I don't even know. I couldn't even, just like from guiding and everything, the amount of animals I've carried is probably, I would say like from over a mile from the truck, maybe close to 1,000 pack outs. And you're just like, I just say like, I'd just rather get it done. So I'm just like, half the time I'm just like strapping stuff to my front, strapping stuff to my back, dragging things and just getting out and not having to go back. And that's the worst way to do it. I'm like slowly changing the way that I do things. Now I'll use more horses and do more stuff like that.
I know. You talk to Yanni. You talk to Yanni Patelis nowadays, and he's like, dude, he's getting older, doesn't want to hurt his back, so he's like light loads as many trips as I can. I'd rather save my back.
Yeah. Like right now I'm like trying to adjust my neck because I've got like a pinched whatever in my neck. And I'm like, okay, this is just stupid. But you can do it. When I was like, if you're like 18 to 28, yeah, go for it. Load her up.
Go nuts. Yeah.
And if you aren't doing it four times a week, then sweet. That's all the better. But you also want to make sure you aren't going to injure yourself. So I just say, take it easy. Do multiple. I think it's just mentally, it's a lot better to just sometimes go in stages where you just go, I go halfway, drop, and then just kind of have stashes and then kind of keep going from there. That way it doesn't seem like you're going all the way in, all the way back, all the way in, all the way back, like 4 times. That just mentally, it's like long stretches where you have little short goals. It just makes it easier sometimes. I do that a lot now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man. Well, there's a million questions in the inbox for you, so you got to listen to Cutting the Distance if you want. You've done 4 Q&A podcasts now. You continue to rip them out.
I'm trying to do them like at the beginning of the month. So I'll do 2 more tactic ones, and then we'll just throw down with another Q&A. Try to empty out some of the questions in the inbox.
No, it's great, man. It's great to see people where they're coming from when they're listening to this and how they're getting better. I know you say it like in the intro of the podcast, you said it a lot on the show that you just want to see people's success and hear about success. And our email inbox is full of people that are saying, hey man, this is really helping. And for a million different reasons, for a million different scenarios. So it's awesome. If you're not listening to the Cutting the Distance, God damn it, go over there and Do it.
Yeah.
Right
I
now.
hope. I mean, every time I start the podcast, I think to myself, I'm giving away too many good secrets. But then I'm like, well, whatever. That's part of me is like, man, I've seen some guys out hunting this last season. I'm thinking, man, these guys know something that I know, and it's probably my own fault. But I'm going to continue to do it.
You're a man of the people. You're sacrificing.
Try to be. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if you know this. We might have talked about this before, but First Light is giving away a trip to New Zealand with me, Benny O'Brien. I don't know that I've earned that. I think that may be a little bit silly, but nonetheless, I really love to go to New Zealand, and I'd love to take somebody who's never gone. So I relish the chance. For those of you that entered, this is going to be a good thing for you. If you forgot to enter, it's closed, so you screwed up. You'll have to live with that the rest of your life. I'm sorry, but we are going to soon select the winner. This whole coronavirus thing might screw up our travel for this year, but I promise First Light will put something together, whether it's in 2021 or as soon as we can possibly get over there. But I figured since we got you, we can go over like your time in New Zealand, what you would say about hunting tar over there, and kind of what it is for you, because I know it's a big part of your life. I remember the first time I met you in a bar in Vegas at some Sportsman's Channel party or whatever. We got to talking about New Zealand, and in my mind at that time, this could have been 6-7 years ago. New Zealand was a pretty far off. It was a pretty far off place, man. And I was like, man, I just met this fucking kick-ass guy that goes over there and lives there and guides. I didn't know if I'd ever make it over there, but thanks to you, I did, and I've been there a few times now, and I can't think of a better place to go hunting and be outside. So thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Introduced me to that place, and probably introducing a lot of other people to New Zealand through your trips over there. So give us a quick rundown. You probably told this story on this show before, but just a quick rundown of like how New Zealand came to be as big a part of your hunting life as it is now.
Oh, I mean, tar was like really what drove me over there. I think I remember, I don't even know. I can't remember how old I was, probably like 22, 23, something like that. And, I just really wanted to go on I loved like sheep hunting, mountain hunting. I'm like, wait, I can go over to New Zealand and do this like on, kind of DIY style. So I pretty much just bought a one-way ticket and went over there and got my visas and everything and just like figured it out and came back. I can't remember, the first trip was like three months or something. And really just like bought a vehicle and lived in a tent and just traveled around and hunted as many places as I could and just tried to really figure out tar hunting and just became kind of obsessed with it. And I hunted everything, I've hunted everything that I can on the South Island. There's some stuff that I haven't hunted on the North Island or whatever, but New Zealand's just like, I love it. And the tar hunt to me is still probably one of my favorites. I also like hunting fallow deer and some of the other stuff, but I mean, it's an incredible hunt. Like there's just, the mountains are amazing. The tar themselves are just some of the coolest looking animals, I feel. They just got the mane and the horns and they've got it all. It's just like it's an incredible adventure. And I think it's definitely one that if you get the opportunity to do, you're going to love it. And I think that's a sweet hunt to give away because whoever wins it's going to be pretty stoked. It's going to be a pretty great trip.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
Oh man, I remember. We're never going to say the specific river valley that you took us to the first time we went over there. We were with Andrew McKean, Shane Dorian, Ben Potter, all these guys. A couple of those guys you'll hear from us on our daily podcast coming up the rest of this week and next week. But like, I remember you telling me we went and hunted fallow deer on a sheep station, and that was amazing to me. And then just like, we went and stayed the night at a ski resort, kind of at the mouth of this river valley. And I think you told me that night we were having beers, you're like, this hunt that we're about to do, this place you're about to see is my favorite place on earth. Like the place I would most excited to show anybody that earns that privilege. And then the next day we travel up this river valley, and I've never seen anything like it. I remember that feeling like it was yesterday, seeing this country and knowing that, as you were saying, there's no seasons, there's no bag limits. They have huts available to the public. All you got to do is walk in and sign your name, and there's a well-kept hut with cut firewood and views of this ridiculous subalpine and alpine mountain range where these Nepal and Indian native goat-like creatures are jumping around up there that you can glass in the morning from your hut. I just, everything from the beechwood forest to the tussock flats above them, like I couldn't say enough about that. And that's something, in my regards, like if you say something is amazing, I believe it now after that proof. I mean, could you just describe that place without giving away too many specifics? Because it is a special place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, most of the big canyons are very similar like that. It's got a big river in the bottom, beech forests that go up to like what would be the alpine. And then the alpine is just like rock, tussock, like a yellow tussock grass, really steep, vertical. The head of the basin on like all the fingers has like glaciers in it. So it's all glacial fed streams coming straight off of like big icy glaciers. And it's incredible. Like it's big country. It's really wild feeling. Even the marked trails in there, it's just like a little suggested route, because if you're a little bit off the suggested route, you're probably not going to get there, because you're just going to run into too many vertical rises. And some of the places, you've got to use a rope to get over the rocks, and you just like, it's a massive adventure. And it's just stuff that you don't get to see, other places, like the whole glacial canyon and everything it's incredible. It's a really, really cool experience. And just like the variations in weather and the types of animals that are there. I mean, and the other thing is you could run into, I think when we went there the first time, we saw a red deer, tar, and chamois. And you're like,
yeah.
It's just like, how cool is that?
It's unbelievable, man. I remember the first time going there, I'd seen mountain ranges, I'd been some places, but the first time going there, it's almost like you could see the work that the tectonic plates had done. Like it's such a, you're on an island at basically sea level, and you can see just those glacial cuts in the mountain. Just it's some of the craziest terrain you're ever going to look at, and to go there and just to look up and see that, man, I think I could just see the land at work and how it got there. And to think that, at the time I didn't know this, but I read about it in the last couple of years. The Duke of Bedford gave the New Zealand government 6 tar in I think it was like 1904, I want to say. And now the government is putting on call operations to shoot as many as they can because they've populated that island so much. So just the history of that place and that animal, it's all that stuff, man. It's an amazing trip. How many you do it every year still, right?
Yeah, I go over every year. It just depends how long. Like now I don't go over as long, but obviously the whole coronavirus thing, I was supposed to be over there, and I don't know, they've kind of I was actually supposed to be going to Argentina next week, and they stopped people from flying there, and then I was going to New Zealand after that. So all that stuff's like kind of on pause, but just adjust plans and stuff. And if I don't go this year, it'd be the first time in probably 11 years that I haven't been over there. So I don't know. I just love it. It's an awesome place. And I got everything kind of set up for myself over there. Just like a vehicle that I store, and some places to crash, and some places that I love to go out and hunt. And it's a pretty cool experience.
It's amazing, man. And those tar have no natural predators. Except for maybe you. Who the hell else is hunting?
No, there's a lot of people that hunt them, they get chased by choppers and cold pretty heavily. But, it's a cool experience.
So many people are asking me a lot of things about going over there. Obviously now as of this moment, as of today, there's a 14-day quarantine ban if you come in from an international, or quarantine deal if you go in there from anywhere else, so internationally traveling to New Zealand. So if you were to land today, you'd have to sit somewhere for 14 hours and be quarantined before you could go hunt. So
you're 14 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, 14 days.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense that nobody's really going to go over there. Hopefully our hunt is at the end of May. It probably will be, I would think it would be canceled. I won't speak out of class for First Light, but it'll certainly be a challenge to get over there. And I know that will really hurt the hunting industry over there a lot. They depend on their income and revenue from international hunters. So and this is the time of year where people are really going there. And so
that's I mean, a lot of people are affected in a lot of ways,
Yeah. So
I mean, I've got friends that their whole yearly income or whatever is dependent on this time of year. And it's like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Just take the hit, try to do your best you can. But that's just another way this is all affected. But for just in general, as you go over there, what are the things that people should be thinking about? There's lots of people, many thousands of people that enter this contest. We haven't announced the winner yet. We will soon. But for folks that are rookies that are thinking they might win this hunt, or that just want to go over there, you have kind of a tips and tricks for what to bring. Because I'm sure I know you get that from reading all your, from reading every single one of your articles and listening to your podcasts. I know everybody's asking you what gear to bring where. But if you're hunting in the Southern Alps of New Zealand for tar, what's the things you have to have?
I mean, you want really good hiking boots that are well broken in. You want to be in good shape. I always bring you definitely want like a hiking trekking poles, or like even like I use something, especially if you guys are going later, you're going to want something like save yourself if you fall off the mountain, like a ice axe or something. It depends where you're going to. Like if you aren't in good shape, then just take a helicopter to the top. That's what I suggest. But there's a lot of options there. And, the thing about it is like that type of country is, I don't think it gets stressed enough. Like, I'm like, I go over there and hunt it on my own, but also I have like a lifetime of experience like doing that and hunting in mountains and other stuff. It's super, super, super dangerous. And I think like it just gets, I think sometimes social media and stuff, people see people doing things and it gets like the difficulty level gets underestimated. So like if you're just thinking like this is something I want to try, honestly, like go with a guide that knows how to get into the spot safely and other stuff, because you can really get in over your head really fast. And I think that like that's going to be a thing that stops it for people, is like a bunch of people that don't have the ability or don't really respect the mountain enough to go over there and then have accidents, and that's just going to get the whole thing shut down for everyone. So I think like going with somebody that knows what they're doing is huge. And then just like having the right gear as far as, like it gets really cold, having like some good insulation layers, some good clothing, good rain gear. Good rain gear is so clutch over there, because you just get into so much crappy weather all the time, or you can, especially on the West Coast. So it's like, yeah, you just kind of got to be prepared for everything. Have a good tent, like a good 4-season tent, and like you want some real high end gear, because it's pretty rough country. I think that gets like underestimated because people see like hunting TV shows where it might just be like they flew in for the day, but they're kind of playing it as like a backcountry hunt or whatever. You don't really know. So yeah, you just kind of want like the best gear you can get, because it can be pretty like gnarly, wet, rugged, steep, dangerous country.
It's a gnarly hunt, man. I remember the first time I went over there, we were at the sheep station unloading our gear, and I'd hunted around a little bit, but nothing like, I was from the East Coast, man, and at the time I'd lived in the Midwest a little bit, but I had no idea what I was getting into. I thought I did. I had gaiters, but I had boots, but they weren't the right kind of boots. I hadn't worn them in good enough. I didn't have good enough rain gear. It was tough, but you learn. But that, like you said, if you're going with a guide and that guide gives you a list of what to bring, you'd better damn well listen to that guide if you trust him. And most of the guides down there are top notch, especially the guys we're going to be going with it for our trip. So I feel it, man, and I feel like we talk about it and we say how great it is, and we say that there are no seasons and no bag limits, and it's kind of an idyllic situation for us hunters in America that are kind of stuck in the season, stuck within our tags. But don't just charge down there and think that you're going to have success. You might, but you could also get hurt, as Remy was just saying, man. It's a serious deal. And you bring, the best story I have from going down there is going out on the West Coast and meeting with a guy who was taking us in to look for stag on an airboat. And before we did that, he said, "Hey, mate, do you want to get some crayfish before we go?" And I said, "Crayfish? Wow, sure." Took us out on a boat on an ocean, and we came back with 6 fucking rock lobsters the size of my arm. And so I had shot a tar prior to that, so I had a whole Yeti cooler full of tar meat and rock lobster. And for everybody that says you can't bring meat back from New Zealand, you're dead wrong, because I showed up in LAX with rock lobster and tar meat, and they let me stroll right through with no problem. So
just make sure you declare it. But yeah,
you declare it
as of now.
You declare it's not a problem. Yeah, who knows, that could change.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem. And so if you're thinking about what's tar don't smell delicious, they don't necessarily look delicious as you would imagine, but they're some good table fare.
Oh yeah. Yeah, some of the meat's more like marbled than other meat. I really like it. I don't find it tough or anything. I think most of it's pretty good. I prefer it over a lot of other stuff, actually. It's really good.
I do too.
And you throw some lobster on the top and you're like, yep.
It's one of my favorite meals, man. That's like absolutely favorite meal. Yeah. Smoked, reverse seared tar backstrap with some smoked lobster on, like creamed smoked lobster on top. Oh,
that's a fancy meal. That's like, you're like, what are you eating tonight? Oh, Himalayan tar topped with cold water rock lobster.
Yes. That's for my friends in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like to go. I always try to make a trip and go pawa diving or abalone. I love abalone, and it's kind of like pretty restricted now in California, but over in New Zealand, I don't know I haven't really looked at the rules this year. I haven't done it in a couple of years maybe, but I'd always just go out and get a couple of those and cook it up, barbecue it up with some tar and whatever, and just a little surf and turf. It's pretty cool. Be on an island like that. It's crazy because you're on an island, but you're in alpine mountain country and then you're
Yeah.
like in the ocean a few hours later if you want to be catching blue cod or whatever. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe kind of the way that landscape is constructed and kind of what you're able to do in a day's time. I mean, because when I first went down there with you, we were, in what you would call kind of the arid Nevada desert hunting fallow deer. One day,
Yep.
we killed all our deer. We had a great hunt. I mean, you're hunting this exotic croaking, giant deer in the rut with these palmated antlers. It's just kind of a weird experience in itself. And you're doing that in a landscape that looks like, kind of like the where you grew up, but like the high desert
Yep.
of Nevada.
Yeah, like high
And then
desert,
you kinda-
Nevada, Idaho,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so that was a
And
surreal
then
enough
you just
experience
jump
for
up
me.
into like straight up jungle, alpine, like it's like major rainforests, ferns, and
Yeah.
beech trees, and like really really thick stuff. And then you just go into like alpine, like top of the mountain looks like remote Alaska.
Yeah,
It's pretty
that beech forest is unbelievable because there's a lot of age to it. It's a lot of mature timber in there, and then you get up into like the tussock covered rocks that kind of lead up into the alpine, and then you break out in the alpine, and that's where you got all these alpine basins and stuff where these chamois and tar live, and it just I can't talk about it enough. I mean, I imagine that the tourism board of New Zealand is enjoying the shit out of this podcast, but man, it's that amazing. And when First Light told me that they wanted to give a hunt away with me to go to New Zealand with somebody else, I'm like, hey man, I'm
Heck yeah.
don't heck the hell yeah, man. I don't know that I deserve all that, but I'm glad somebody else can go with me because it is. There's not a part of that South Island that doesn't offer some kind of amazing experience out of doors.
Yeah, I know. We got to stop talking about it because it's like talking about food when you're hungry. It's giving me wanderlust. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should be in New Zealand right now.
Let's go.
Normally I'm there this time of year. I'd be leaving. Normally I'd be leaving like right now. So I'm like, come on. Now all I want to be doing is chasing red deer in the beech forest and then jump up into the alpine and chase some tar.
My lord. Yeah, to hear a red stag roar like echoing around a beechwood forest like right at dawn. We did that a couple years ago. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
And if you got the gusto to keep hiking further up, and you're probably going to be when you go down there, and we got to talk about this. When you go down there, you're probably going to be led by a guide who's wearing shorts and gaiters. Like what's the?
Like
can you describe
thermals.
like the? Yeah, describe like the Kiwi attire because they just do shit differently down there.
It's like boots, gaiters, like thermals, and then shorty shorts on top of them.
Yeah, just bare-legged through the timber.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like thick thermals later on because you'll probably be in a lot of snow and stuff if you go later. You're getting in May and June, you're getting into kind of winter conditions. But yeah.
Well, I can give you actually as we're talking here, we're talking as now we're a daily podcast until this damn quarantine is over and we're all free to go back and adventure in New Zealand. I just got an email from Cam, our guide, who would be our guide down there. He said, I'll just read it to you. He said, at present, this coronavirus has brought our guided hunting industry to its knees, as I'm sure you can imagine. The advice at the minute from our Guides Association is to try and rebook all our March/April hunts to later in the season. And our government is reviewing the restrictions next on the 31st of March. And he goes on and on and on. But he said, let's hang tight on this particular hunt and see how this unfolds. We can certainly do it next year if we have to. So for in a way, an update for our contest here, that's as immediate as I can provide. And so some things will change, but hopefully we'll get together with First Light and find a good way to announce the winner here real soon. So thanks for the patience,
that's cool.
everybody.
I mean, do it next year, or you could always go hunt them in the spring too. Like their coats aren't as good, but you get some pretty big bulls. Most of them are down lower in the spring too. It's actually an easier hunt in the spring. But
Like I said earlier, thanks for showing it to me. I would go there as many times as possible. Hopefully, I'll go there with one of you this coming May, and if not this coming May, next May. We will make it happen one way or the other. I know got a lot of people messaging me wondering about this, and we will make it happen one way or the other.
Nice.
What do you got? What do you got planned for the rest of this spring, Remy? I know you got a lot of things that got canceled. You're going to turn that into an opportunity in around the States.
Yeah, I'll probably just kind of do some more spring bear hunting and maybe some turkey hunting around here or something. Maybe some stuff close to home. I mean, honestly, like it's just like everybody else, just monitoring what's going on. And if something changes rapidly, which I don't think that's going to happen. But if something changes rapidly, then yeah, I'll probably be down in New Zealand. But if it doesn't, like I'm just going to find things to do around here. I'll be doing the podcast thing here and probably just catch up on some of my writing things on the trips that got canceled until some seasons start around here. But, honestly, I'll probably be doing a little bit of shed hunting, so a lot of fishing. The best way to avoid the coronavirus is to go outside and be by yourself. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. I think like there's, if you're one of those people that your job got quarantined or whatever, go outside, do something, live a good life, don't get too crazy, too freaked out. Just, I mean, everybody's kind of in the same boat. We're all, we've all got things that are, whatever, it's just like everybody's got some stuff and some people have it harder than others. So just kind of look out for your fellow neighbor and be good to each other. That's my only thing.
It's a good time to say go outside. I'm going to load up on turkey hunts around the West and bear hunts around Montana. And if I do that, I'll be like you. I mean, I have plenty to do. I won't have any qualms. And even if you're somewhere where you can't afford your turkey tag now, that you don't have income coming in, like you can go out and go on a hike. You can go out and go hunt sheds or go out and pick mushrooms if you can get permission. Yeah. Go find some morels, man. Cook those up.
Yeah. I'm going to do a little spring fishing, It's always a fun time. Find something. There's plenty of stuff to do outdoors. And maybe just make sure you get out to stay in shape for fall hunting season. Everybody's going to have cabin fever here pretty quick. So I think that the fall hunting season is going to be awesome. And just you find a way, make a way. So
do it. Get in shape, go on a diet, cut your hair, do anything to get better.
Exactly.
Anything you can
cut
to
your
get
own
better.
hair. Don't go somewhere to get your hair cut.
Whoa, yeah. Cut your own hair. Everybody shave your hair. That's all.
I just shave my head now, so it's all good. I'm like, yes, sweet.
Oh, dude. All right. Well, Remy, thanks, man. I know you'll be cranking out Cutting the Distance podcast. So for those of you who don't listen to that show, do it right now. You have plenty of time. Go and listen to it every Thursday morning on the Meat Eater Podcast Network and anywhere you can download a thing. You can download Remy.
And if you miss some or you get bored, just go re-listen to them. I do them, and I don't even remember what I say. I went back and listened to one a while ago. I was like, I don't even remember saying that, but that's good information. I should listen. It's great. You can listen to it, forget it, and you just pick out little nuggets here and there. So yeah,
people should know that. I'm the same way. I always have people say, like, when you said this in this conversation, what did you mean? I'm like, listen, I got to tell you, man, I wish I could remember specifically what I was trying to get across at that point, but I can't even remember what I said yesterday.
I don't really understand. I don't remember what I said 4 seconds ago. I'm like, what were we talking about? Like,
here we are, New Zealand, Australia. We don't know. All right, man.
Stuff.
Well, take care of your people over there. Stay safe in Reno. And if you feel like traveling up here to bear hunt in Montana, I'll be here for you. So you let me know.
I think maybe we should plan a little bear action. I've got the itch. I'm ready. When's the season start? The 14th or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I like to get an Idaho tag and a Montana tag. And I don't really, I just kind of like hiking around with the bow or whatever, rifle. It doesn't matter. It's fun. I got I did get? I got a old school like percussion cap muzzle loader that I'm excited to hunt with this fall. So that's gonna be. I've never done that.
Bring it. Fun. I grew up doing that, man. I grew up with a.
I know.
I grew up with a Hawken rifle.
Like, show me the ways. Yep, that's what I got. A Hawken rifle.
One of the few things I could actually show.
Rifle.
Ooh.
Yeah,
one of the few things I could show you the way on. I'll be happy to do it, dude.
I know.
Let's go.
That's why I brought it up. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll go bear hunting with my 54 cal Hawkins. Sounds fun.
I shot my first deer on one of those.
Like 30 pounds.
Yeah, it's really inefficient and makes no sense. But that's not the first time we'll have done something like that.
Yeah, sounds fun. Cool,
right,
man.
Brother.
All right, appreciate
man.
it. We'll talk to you
later. Talk soon. Later.
See ya. Bye.
That's it. That's all. Another episode of the podcast in the books. Phil and I have recorded and re-recorded these intros and outros so many times at this point. I don't even know what day it is anymore. But that's what the Quarantine Daily Podcast is. It is us real and raw and locked in rooms with microphones. And so that's what we're going to be. So thanks to Remy Warren. Thanks to Phil the engineer. Thanks to all of you for listening. We're got a bunch of great guests lined up. We're going to be talking to Cole Kramer, my good buddy from Alaska. We had a lot of good hunting stories for him and I together. Andrew McKean, who's one of the editors for Outdoor Life, who I went to Bulgaria and hunted Russian boar with a few years back. That's an amazing story. I can't wait to tell all of you. We got a bunch of things lined up. The biggest elk of my life on public land in Utah with a buddy of mine named Sean DeGray from Total Archery Challenge. We're going to tell you that story as well. So stick with us every day until we can't do it anymore, which hopefully will be every day until we can all get back to our normal lives. So we'll see you next week. Say bye, Phil.
Goodbye. The Hunting Collective with Ben O'Brien is a part of the Meat Eater Podcast Network. It is produced by Corinne Schneider and engineered by Phil Taylor. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, themeateater.com, or anywhere podcasts are downloadable. Wherever you listen, leave a 5-star review and subscribe.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. After 3 years of work, our follow-up to the Meat Eater Fish and Game Cookbook is here. It's the Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, campfire, and camp stove. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside. From grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Get your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com or buy it wherever books are sold.